Hello and welcome to the New Year's Day Electric Football Playoff Challenge Show. I'm Stu Pace.
I'm Steve Brown. Happy New Year's, everybody. I hope you're recovering. If Stu suddenly runs off screen, it'll be my fault from cheap beer and a lot of fried food last night. Anyway, we're going to launch the playoff challenge. We have a bunch of shows and maybe even one fan. I'm waiting to hear back.
All right.
Who are going to go against us, and that's fine. Bring it on, folks. I didn't know that odds have changed since I paid attention to gambling lines. I didn't know that when you go to USA Today's website, there's like 17 different lines. So here are the lines we're going to go with for the challenge. It's going to be Houston minus 4.5, Green Bay minus 7.5, Baltimore minus 6.5, and Washington getting 3. So that's Houston minus 4.5, Green Bay minus 7.5, Baltimore minus 6.5, and Washington plus 3. Use those when you send me the email of your picks. Okay, email. That would be good.
Yeah, and if you already filmed your show using another line, we'll adjust it, I guess, at the end of the games next week to make it fair. Because
please feel free to put a video reply on the bottom of ours so that our viewers can see yours, your viewers can see ours. Let's all get them going, and we're going to pick a champion here.
Let's break the tide.
So let's get into it. And
right.
We're going to do Baltimore at Houston first. And
except it's Cincinnati. All right.
Cut.
Okay.
All right, so let's get into it. And it's Cincinnati at Houston. I don't know how you feel about this game, folks, but I'm going to tell you how I feel. All right? The Bengals have momentum. Houston does not. Houston is coming in off a 2-game losing streak where they could have clinched home field. One of those games at home against my Vikes. That hurts. If you look at it statistically, if you go to NFL.com and you analyze, over the season, right, Houston looks better. They're better in just about all of the offensive categories, and they're equal to or better in all of the defensive categories. And I'm throwing that out. Okay? Mm-hmm. I think since he's on a bit of a roll, having beat Philly and Pittsburgh, I don't know if you can count the Baltimore game because there were backups in that game for a lot of it. Houston is probably getting back the linebacker Brooks. That's going to help. Brooks Reed, excuse me. That's going to help. Okay. Because they've been crushed by, the linebacker injuries, Brooks Reed, Brian Cushing, that sort of thing. But it's not going to help enough. I actually think that Cincinnati has turned into the much more dominant defense, a tougher defense. You've got 51 sacks out of Cincinnati this year. Geno Atkins and Michael Johnson were both, Atkins was at 12.5, Johnson was at 11.5. Mm-hmm. Pressure in the playoffs is huge. So getting points, I'd take Cincinnati. Stu?
I'm with you. Not because I think statistically they're pretty even. Houston has been playing poorly. Cincinnati's beaten Pittsburgh and Baltimore, while Houston's lost to Minnesota and Indianapolis. That's not a great way to go into any playoffs. I've never been much of a Houston fan to begin with. They're the better team, though, on paper. Arian Foster, Matt Schaub, and Andre Johnson clearly is better than Ben Jarvin, Grease
Ellis.
It's New Year's Day, man. It's New Year's Day. Ben Virgin Vergas and
the law firm
and Dalton and AJ Green. But they haven't been playing in a consistent manner. Cincinnati's on a roll. I think the line of 4.5 is too big. Do I think Houston will win by 3? Maybe, but I really think Cincinnati's going to cover the 4.5.
All right. Now we move on to the Vikings at the Packers. And let me tell you, the Packers at the Vikings was one of the best games I've seen in a long time. A, it put us in the playoffs. B, I was screaming every time Peterson ran the ball, including
9 yards.
Including that last run where I thought he was going to break it for the playoff clinching touchdown that set the record. I'm sorry they got him. Would have been nice if the Packers just went,
I would have let him. I would have waved them in.
Unfortunately, they were playing to win the game also.
Yeah.
Both teams had a lot on that, but the Vikings won that game on pure emotion early. Both the offense and the defense clearly wanted Peterson to get it. They came out, broke out to a 13-point lead, were holding the Packers, and I don't think that's going to happen again. I don't think they're going to have quite that much emotion. First, they're going to be in Green Bay. Second, Brian Robinson saved our lives by tipping the ball away from, what's his name, that ugly guy?
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers would be his name. That ugly guy. All the Packers are ugly. I didn't want to
Just come double check.
I didn't want to say it. They're ugly. But that was the key play of that game, and the fact that one of the Packers missed an interception on a touchdown pass that he should have had. I don't know how that ball got to Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
So with everything in their favor, the Vikings just barely held off the Packers. I don't think they can do that in Green Bay. I hope that they can, but our secondary looked a little weak on tackling. Chris Cook got bowled over a couple of times. We were down to Sherrills because Winfield is hurt. Jefferson, they just didn't look physical enough against the Packers receivers, who, if Nelson's hamstring is fully healed, they've gotten pretty much healthy. I mean, Cobb is still hurt, but they're clearly the better team. If the Vikings can get a huge amount of pass rush on Rodgers, we still have a chance, but I'm not betting on it. But we're getting 7.5 points.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Vikings.
Yeah, the Packers' defense isn't any better than Minnesota's in that case. When you look at the stats for the year, the difference between the average rushing yards per week that's in favor of Minnesota is offset by the average passing yards that the Packers have. So if you put them together, they probably have a very similar stat line for offense. Defensively, you can't count on either one of them. However, it's going to be a cold, crummy day in Green Bay, and that favors the running game to me. That's where Minnesota comes in. If they can get AP running like he has been, I mean, he has just been unstoppable. It has been a joy to watch this guy whose injury last year could have meant the end of some people's careers, for him to come back and miss by 9 yards, and he was an arm tackle away from a touchdown and the extra 9 yards in that game.
And he does have, in 2 games against the Packers this year, he has 350 some odd yards rushing.
Yeah, so that all favors Minnesota in my opinion, but they've been playing indoors too long. They should go back outside. I agree. I think that they're definitely within the 7.5 points, but I think Green Bay ekes this one out and wins the game. Rodgers, were they really playing as hard as they had to? It didn't mean anything to Green Bay in that game. It meant everything to Minnesota to get in. And I think Green Bay wins this game. They're home. But take Minnesota in the 7.5.
All right. Then we move on to the Colts at the Ravens. And the Colts are a kind of deceptive team this year in that they only had 2 losses in the second half of the season, but those 2 losses were basically the 2 good teams they played, New England and Houston. They beat Houston and they lost to Houston. The Ravens are almost the exact opposite. The teams they were losing to late in the season were playoff caliber teams.
Yes.
What does that tell us? It tells us that this is a very hard game to pick. Luck had 23 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. Flacco had 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Hard to believe this, but you can almost say that the quarterback thing is a wash. Both teams are about the same as far as getting pressure on the quarterback, which I think is really a key in the playoffs. The Ravens are getting back some of their. I mean, Ray Lewis is probably going to play. They're getting back their emotional heart on defense, and they do have a better running game.
And that could be big because they have not been playing with much heart lately.
Right, but the Colts are coming off of a big win, and the line is 6.5 as of right now, and I think the Colts cover it. I think that they have the weapons on offense to keep this game close. Ridiculously
enough, I agreed. When Steve decided to do this, and we don't pick against the spread. And then I was looking at the games like we're not going to match. We don't match all season long on the games, but we did. We matched on everything, and sadly, we picked every road team, which is just it's the wrong thing to do on Wildcard weekend. Basically, the home teams usually clean this slate. But I agree with you. I think statistically, there's not much different about Baltimore and Indianapolis, except that Ray Rice is clearly the X factor in this game. Baltimore's been here, though, before, and I think that's the big key to this game as far as them winning. They've been to the playoffs with this team. This isn't a bunch of new guys that have not been here together before. It's mostly the same core guys that are going here. I think Baltimore wins the game, but I like Indy to cover the 6.5. But Flacco has to start playing better. If Flacco plays the way he's been playing the last few games, like he's been playing like Sanchez, I think Indianapolis could win this game outright. But I'm taking the 6.5.
Colts are definitely better on offense. Ravens are better on defense. What that's going to lead to is a close game, and that's why you play the spread.
And here's my point. Indianapolis goes, 2-14 the year before they get Luck? So with Peyton Manning, their playoff caliber team, with Peyton Manning, we suck, we need to get Andrew Luck, and then they're in the playoffs again. That team laid down and died last year on purpose. Just wanted to make that point.
Okay, conspiracy theory.
Action.
Our last game is the Seahawks at the Redskins, and this is an interesting game in that the road team is favored, and there's a reason the road team is favored. They are much better at time of possession. They are much better at converting third downs. And you know what that's going to lead to? That's going to lead to them keeping Griffin off the field. It's going to lead to them having the ball longer and being able to put... Why is Stewart giving me the death stare?
Sorry.
Wow. Ooh.
Sorry. It's New Year's.
Burning right through me.
I don't think I was listening.
I also think the Seahawks are amazingly well built to beat the Redskins specifically because they have a young, fast, deep defense. And that's going to allow them to negate some of the advantages that Robert Griffith has. They need to chase him down, and they are capable of chasing him down. And I feel the exact opposite way about the Redskins. I think they're a little slow on defense, especially with the loss of guys like Arakpo.
Well, they're the 28th ranked defense, so yeah, you can say that.
Well, they're also an older defense.
Mm-hmm.
And after a whole season of nicks and bruises and bangs, that does take a step away from you. So I expect the Seahawks to win this one outright, and I expect them to win it outright by more than 3. So give me Seattle. As Stewart said, we're idiots because we're taking the road teams, and statistically, we're doomed at least as far as who's going to win these games.
Right.
But do we do well against the spread? We're going to find out against y'all.
That's right. You know, Washington's defense is 28th. Seattle's defense is 4th. The quarterbacks are mirror images of each other, so I would put that as a wash. I think Wilson and Griffin are very much the same quarterback. I think Wilson might be a little sturdier over the long haul of a season than Griffin, and I'm not saying that because Griffin got injured. It's the style of play. Wilson's not a wild runner like Griffin. I think he takes his runs when he can. I don't see him getting battered on the run. Griffin takes the hits, and I think that's going to be a difference maker down the road how long he can stay in this league. Both teams have a great run game. Al Morris surprisingly has more yards than Marshawn Lynch. That surprised me by
That
about
surprises
100.
me right now.
By about 100 yards. Al Morris was a great pickup. He's going to be a great back in this league for a long time because he's doing it with a team that really probably wasn't expected to do much this season, let alone win the division and get to the playoffs with a home game. I mean, they're home. Seattle's not great on the road, though. That is my one fear. I mean, Miami beat them in Miami. Really? But I think this year feels a little different. This team isn't...
Didn't Seattle get a big win on the road against Chicago?
Oh, yeah, they've had win. And I'm saying, historically, Seattle sucks on the road.
And he's right.
But I think this year is different. I think Wilson is probably, to me, the rookie of the year of the 3. Andrew Luck, we knew you were going to do that. Robert Griffin, we knew you were going to do that. Russell Wilson, nobody could have bet on the season that he had. So to me, he'd be the rookie of the year as far as the quarterbacks go. Seattle gives up yards to good running teams, though, and that can be the difference. With Griffin running that, whatever that pistol package is or whatever, hand the ball off or not. It's not the Wildcat, but it's kind of a read option. That could hurt Seattle, but I don't think so. I think the 4th-ranked defense is the difference in this game, and I think they cover the 3, and I take Seattle to beat Washington by more than a line.
Between Week 14 and Week 16, which is really the crunch time of the NFL season, the Seahawks scored 58, 50, and 42, and they gave up 0, 17, and 13.
Yeah.
If my math is right, that's 150 to 30.
Yeah.
In the crunch time, end of the season when your teams really come together, give us the Seahawks. So amazingly enough, Electric Football agrees on all our picks. I can't blame Stu when we lose. We are taking all of the away teams. We are taking the Bengals. We are taking the Vikings, we are taking the Colts, and we are taking the Seahawks. Doesn't mean we think they're going to win the games. It means we think they're going to
beat the spread, although Seattle's going to win the game because we took them to win.
All right, good luck to all the other guys.
We'll see you next week, right?
Yep, put in your replies, and next week we'll put up a listing of who's in the lead in the Electric Football Playoff Challenge.
See ya!